after he's done and you hear him, you'll know why I'm excited about him speaking.
Thank you. Wow, what a group. And we're here today for the veterans and the veterans' families. And I want to thank you for letting me be part of it. Also, I want to, as I look around, I want to recognize the ladies. And, you know, I had conversations earlier today, and I have them, you know, as I get the chance to talk to people. But the ladies are really weighing in and taking leadership roles and standing up and taking this country back. And it was said to me, you know, it's our children and our grandchildren. I also want to recognize the seniors. You're our national heritage. And you created what we have with your blood and your sweat and your tears. And the sacrifices you made to make this country great, we simply cannot let you down. You know, this is still the greatest nation on the planet. There is no question. And America is the world's last true global military power and protector of freedom and democracy around the world. I like to call myself a fairly recently retired colonel, but that word takes some different meaning. They kick you out. Don't be. We all know, right? Yeah, if you make full colonel, 30 years, you're gone. But there is no question. We still have and will continue to have the finest young seamen, airmen, soldiers, and Marines of any nation on the planet. And we must make sure that Washington gives them everything they need to do their job and win and survive in battle. Now, my friends, Americans need to never go anywhere on this planet and hang their head. This country has saved the free world more than once with our most precious blood. And I think we're all tired of a president standing on foreign soil, bowing to Muslim kings, apologizing to the world for who and what we are. And it's got to stop. Like many of you here, I came from a military family. I kind of broke the mold. I was Army guy, Army Guard, Army Reserves, active Army, but I came from a Navy family. You got any squids out there? Okay. My dad was one of 3 sons. They were all in World War II. My dad was the youngest. He was in the Mediterranean. His elder brother was a jarhead, Marine with 3 Purple Hearts in the Pacific Theater. And his oldest brother was in the Navy and was killed aboard the USS South Dakota at the Battle of Guadalcanal. You're going to hear common themes today, and it needs to be that way. That's why we're here. So yes, we've recognized all the veterans and asked you to stand. So I'm going to ask all the veterans' families to stand so we can recognize you as well. Let there be no doubt you're a critical piece of our force, and you are the support behind it. And I think all of us that wore that uniform, tell me if I'm wrong, Pastor, tell me if I'm wrong, JoJo, we would put it on again and go do what needs to be done. Now we hear people say nobody likes America anymore. You know what? It's hogwash. And perhaps it was best and most eloquently stated by a British gentleman who once when asked, "Are you so defensive of the United States?" to the media. And his answer was, perhaps the best way to take measure of a nation is how many people want in and how many want out. And I think we remember Mr. Tony Blair. And I say this, and I think you say this, and this is why we're here today. To any threat or country or enemy that wants to test the spirit or the resolve or the commitment of the American people, you feel lucky today, bring it on. And I think the events of recent weeks have clearly demonstrated that if you are a threat to our nation, it doesn't matter how long it takes or how much it costs, we will hunt you down and we will eliminate you.
That's right.
A Folks, we're here today to give tribute to our veterans and our veterans' families in our country, but to not forget, we're under attack. And we're under attack from everywhere we look, inside and out, even in our own government. You know, uncontrolled federal spending, we all know, is a serious threat to our country's economic stability and security. We got unions out here refusing to acknowledge the realities of a global marketplace. Liberal judges making up their own rules as they go and giving our country away. We have a failing education system compared to many countries, and it's going to keep dropping us in this global competition. We got a federal government taking away the rights of our states and our citizens, and restrictive laws handcuffing the American productivity and competitive spirit. We still have communism working to destroy our family values and cohesiveness. And of course, illegal immigration and insecure border. That, folks, not everybody coming across there is trying to get a job in agriculture. I worked in money laundering, drug trafficking, and the war on terror like many of you did and many of your families did, and we know it's ugly. It's got to stop. We got this radical Islamic aggression trying to get in our schools and our textbooks and our courts and their own banks right here in Florida. And in my home county, Hillsborough County, right in Florida, we got a growing ID that's ID market that we created for phony credit cards and phony driver's licenses. And you know, in this state, you don't even have to produce a certified birth certificate to get a voter ID. And of course, the liberals that don't want to acknowledge any of these threats or make excuses for it. And then externally, we have competitive nations. Now, you know, we're only 5% of the world, and we have to compete against the other 95. But we have competitive countries. China, Brazil, with unfair trade practices and currency devaluations to make their products more competitive in a foreign market that's eroding our jobs and our industrial base. We have the breaching of our patents and investments by countries such as China and Brazil. And this has taken away our economic growth and stability and investment. We have the global proliferations of weapons of mass destruction and renegade technology transfer among many states that want to do us harm. And of course, the global war on terror and radical Islamic expansion globally with Al-Qaeda, Hamas, Hezbollah. We still have Vladimir Putin hanging around in the former Soviet Union with his visions to return them to their former power base. And of course, the global black markets on drugs, oil, and money laundering, because the terrorists have to pay their bills as well. We have pirates operating on the open seas, and of course we have the United Nations and their one world government initiatives trying to decide where we're going to live, and very soon they'll be trying to take away our guns. You know, my friends, what this country needs is a very comprehensive and integrated national security policy that will fix many of the things, that will restore American pride, prestige, and respect around the world, where our allies stand with us at all times and our enemies fear us. We got to ensure our national secrets and vital interests are fully protected, and we can't have any more WikiLeaks. And we got to bring to bear all elements of national power into a unified effort. And I think we agree that we need 6 core pillars for this national security policy. Number 1, we need an immigration policy that allows our states to protect themselves like anybody else in any other country. That can check to see if you're supposed to be here, and if you're not, we're going to send you home at your country's expense. And we cannot allow amnesty. Just because you've been here for 5 years illegally, we're going to just grant you citizenship? My friends, this is not a garage sale. Second, obviously, we need an energy policy. Now, we all know that our dependency on foreign oil is bleeding our economy. But folks, many of those dollars end up in the hands of countries that want to do us harm, and it's used against us. And I think we need to get the Environmental Protection Agency and the Department of Energy working to facilitate our energy dependence instead of constantly doing things to block it. And we need an economic policy. We need to spend less and we need to make more. And there's no question about that. And I think we've got to take a close look at the treaties and trade agreements that our country signed and that commit us, not just politically, but economically and militarily. We need a foreign policy that returns American prestige and honor around the world, and that supports Israel as the only democracy and ally we have in the Middle East. We need a foreign policy where our U.S. ambassadors and our ambassador teams are formidable and not just economic, not just political favors that were given to someone because they made campaign contributions. And we've got to not have favorable relations or treaties or trade agreements with countries that are breaching patents or harboring terrorists or not supporting us to the world. And we need to stop foreign aid to countries that don't stand by us at all times and help protect our interests as well. And we've got to make sure our foreign policy protects against the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, chemical, biological, and radiological. You know, I was at Tyndall Air Force Base the other day. We've got any Air Force guys in here? Okay, no, we got to give them their due. You know, the blue suiters, you know, but I couldn't stand it. I had to see the Raptor, the F-22. Boy, what a platform. Can take on pretty much 25 enemy aircraft and come out victorious. We need to be sure that those technologies don't come back against us. We've got to protect that. We need a domestic policy here at home that restores our Constitution of the law of the land and limits the rights of unions and bargaining and government jobs. Our infrastructure development should be American workers, American equipment, and American materials. And we need an effective homeland security that secures our borders. And we need to force employers to ensure the legal status of workers with E-Verify. Yes. And I would try terrorists in military tribunals and not the comforts of civilian courts. And we need to be sure that only U.S. laws are allowed in our courts. Yeah. And the one I like, and we've heard it mentioned today, we got to have a military policy that ensures that we maintain the very best military anywhere on the planet. Protect and defend America, our citizens, and our allies. And we got to make sure that all of our veterans and their families get everything they were told they were going to get. Now I get asked, I'm a War College grad, and I know I'm tainted. You know what? There it is. I don't make any apologies or excuses for us. How would you fight the wars, and how would you do this? How would you do your military policy? All of us. We know there's only one way to do it. You got to make sure that you're ready to fight today. It's a come-as-you-are world. And when someone out there, some enemy or threat or nation wants to continue to be a threat to our national security or our interest or our citizens or our allies, you deploy every other option first. But when the day comes that nothing else works, you have to go to the toolbox and get the big hammer. And the military is an instrument force. And it's designed to kill people and tear up things. And these young folks do it pretty well, if we get out of their way. You look at the threat. Who are they? What are they? What do they got? How do they use it? What's their strengths? What are their weaknesses? And then you establish a force package that has full joint capability and brings to bear all resources. You make sure it does have overwhelming force, because we don't want any close football games. We want this thing over before halfway through the first quarter. You have clearly defined military objectives. You have rules of engagement that are well understood. And that you bring in and you dominate the battle space at every level. Strategically, operationally, tactically, every environment, land, sea, and air. And you pound them and you kick their ass. Sorry. And when the process is engaged, you shape the battlefield, you dictate the outcomes. And then you have a well-orchestrated, designed exit strategy. When the military objectives are achieved, the troops get out. And you make sure they're protected while they're gone and their families' interests are looked after. And we have to do a much better job accounting for all the MIAs in the POWs. We have 90,000 out there that we need answers for. You know, my friends, as I'll come to a close here, I like to think about Ronald Reagan. I was fortunate enough, when you're as old as me, in 33 years, I think I've served under pretty much everybody. I was actually at a Lincoln dinner, and I mentioned, you know, we were doing Lincoln and Reagan, and I said I had the opportunity to serve in one of those, and some young kid asked me which one. But Ronald Reagan said it well, for those that don't believe freedom has to be protected. Freedom's never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. My friends, this is still the land of the free, the home of the brave, and one nation under God. We must keep this country strong, prosperous, and stop those who want to give it away or take it away. And failure is simply not an option. I want to thank you for letting me be here today. And may God bless you, and may God bless America.